Are you recording for like a TV commercial later on or something?
I am not.
Okay.
Smart move.
All right. All right. Well, our first guest this evening is State Senator Eric Lesser, who's been a real friend of the community. We really appreciate that. We really appreciate him being here this evening. What do you have to report?
Well, hello, Mr. Chairman. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
And everybody can see me okay?
Yep.
All right, perfect. Just quick Zoom checks. So first, I just want to say thank you to the board and through the board to the town of Hampden and to everybody in Hampden who's gone through a lot this year. Let's be honest, it hasn't been a normal year, but we are looking up. We are looking better. The virus count is of course going down, and looking forward to things getting back to normal. Looking forward to being back with all of you at the board in person. I really just wanted to come, as I do every year, just to give a very brief update on the budget picture. And then also just to, of course, take questions and want to hold the balance of the time for questions. We're coming, it really is the best of times and the worst of times, or the worst of times and the best of times in many respects. So we obviously are dealing with a still very challenging and unprecedented situation, both in terms of getting schools reopened, in terms of getting, continuing to get the virus count down, making sure we have adequate vaccine distribution in Western Mass, which is something I've been particularly focused on, and in particular, making sure our local boards of health are empowered to distribute vaccine, especially in our rural communities and in our smaller communities in Western Mass. So to that end, I joined, and I'm a member of the COVID-19 Oversight Committee that you may have seen, some postings about. Our neighbor just to our north in Northampton, Joe Comerford, is the Senate chair of that committee, and I'm a member of that. And we've already had the governor personally testify in front of our panel, and we're going to have him back actually on March 23rd, along with Secretary Sutters and various other leaders from the vaccine and COVID-19 response effort. So I should have more to report on that soon. Also, in regards to the budget, we're of course still in the early innings here of the annual budget process. We do expect this year's budget to be on time and to follow the traditional timeline that it historically has now that we've caught up from what happened obviously last year. And we do have good news to report there. The H1 figures that I have in front of me for both Chapter 70 and for unrestricted aid, and also for Chapter 90, are frankly at this point a little bit out of date. These were from the governor's initial budget that he proposed, well over a month ago. Since then, we've seen several more months of state tax revenue come in, and they are far above benchmark, really far above actually some of even the rosiest projections of what we were expecting. We also, of course, are celebrating the passage. We've got to thank Bob Markle's high school classmate of President Biden's rescue package, which I believe specifically for Hampden is going to deliver $510,000. That is in addition to and separate from the nearly $5 billion that will be granted to the state of Massachusetts and an additional over $1 billion statewide for transportation and over $1 billion for K-12 schools. So all of this just means we have a fluid budget situation right now, but things are looking much better, certainly than the worst case scenarios, and much better even than the projections for the budget earlier in the year. Goes without saying that all of this is obviously dependent on the virus continuing to go down, the economy continuing to reopen, the vaccines being distributed in a quick and equitable way, and the variants not taking hold. I think we see with trepidation what's happened in Europe, Italy now going back into a lockdown because of the variants. So that's a big just red flag in terms of what we have to be cautious about with all of these new funds. But knock on wood, it does look like this year is going to be a much more positive year than last year. So I know there's a lot of questions. I think probably a dialogue and a Q&A is more helpful. But on a personal note, I just want to say, I've always enjoyed coming before your board, and I personally respect and admire just all the leaders of Hampden and the people of Hampden who have worked so hard over this last year. And looking forward to spring being here and to some good news in the year to come.
Questions?
Well, I'd like to first off thank Eric for being here. I know Don and I attended the financial roundtable with the school last week, and we appreciate the remarks that you, Brian, and Angelo made, the commitment you made to support Hampden, basically, in, as my common phrase is, we'd like our money back from the state. And if you want to drive it back, Eric, we'll meet you at the border.
I don't think that amount of money is going to fit in a car, but
Well, we're okay with that.
yeah.
Stuff, right? The new dump truck, we'll take that.
Yeah.
But again, yeah, I do echo, long time you've always been a good friend to the town of Hampden. We appreciate that. You have a lot of towns and cities that ask for your attention, but you've never shirked from providing it to us. So thank you.
I appreciate that.
I have a question, Eric, that has nothing to do with budget, but in a way it does. As you know, our assessment from the Hampden County Regional Retirement is astronomical every year and going up. And there's been some issues up there in the recent audit. And a number of towns are calling for resignations, and also a number of towns are thinking about filing legislation to reform that. So I'm wondering if you could give me the process there.
Yeah, no, so Don, I appreciate that. And first, hello, good to see you. But I'm grateful actually for for how vocal you've been and how vocal several of our towns and town administrators have been. Look, what happened there in the audit, and I read through the audit, is not acceptable and is not something that we should tolerate for our communities and for our retirees. So I'm certainly prepared to work with you and work with the other towns on appropriate legislation in terms of what that looks like, how that looks like. We just need to get together and work through that in terms of the specific reforms. Procedurally, I think we would have a question about whether or not a bill like this would be treated as more of a kind of home rule bill or a kind of broader state policy. My sense is unfortunately the issue with these county retirement boards is an issue that's being faced by more than one county, unfortunately. And so it would probably beg the question of maybe a broader state level reform is necessary. And I know that there have been other, and I don't want to put Bob on the spot, but he has experience with this in other regions of the state. So I would defer to you and to the town leadership about what we would want that to look like, a more narrowly focused reform on Hampden County specifically, or do we want to look at a broader reform that would include improvements in other counties as well?
The other question I had, I brought it up at the round table, is about small towns like Hampden really are having a difficult time, will have a difficult time in the future surviving because, they have so many needs to do, like public health nurse, regional animal control, and those types of things. And do you see any way that the state can provide, like they do with the dispatch, some type of funds to help in, regionalizing, putting a group together to save money at the local level?
Yeah, and it's, I think we should acknowledge that these often are painful decisions for communities because there's a lot of pride in local services, and they've been people have come to rely on those local services over the years. But I do think regionalization, just in terms of efficiency and raising the quality, right? I mean, I think that's the key, is you can raise and improve the quality if you do the regionalization well. And the dispatch is a perfect example of that. That I think the state needs to do a better job incentivizing that. And, I think a lot of people feel very negatively about this instinctively because the state has not fulfilled its bargain on regional schools. And the state had asked communities to regionalize districts and then has not foot the bill on transportation. So there's a gap in trust there that's not necessarily undeserved. So, and I think we got to acknowledge that history as we move forward. But yes, the state needs to do more to incentivize regionalization, especially around things like public safety, public services, utilities, public infrastructure. So absolutely. And this was a big topic before COVID. I mean, it got sidetracked a little bit with the emergency response we've all been focused on with COVID. But I think now that we're moving back towards a posture of recovery and growth, we've got to have a conversation about regionalizing some of these services. I've talked, about this extensively with our neighbor, just to our east, Angobi. My neighbor to the north, Joe Comerford, who has many small communities, as well as Senator Hines, who represents Berkshires and large portions of Franklin County. And so this is something that, and Senator Vilas, I think all of us are really of the opinion that it's got to be a focus. So, please share with us, because, the dispatch really is a good example of something that's happened locally that we can really try to mimic and build out with other communities statewide. So if you've got examples like that, or or items you're identifying in the budget that you think are in particular going to be helpful in terms of regionalization or spreading those costs out, that's always helpful to get to me, because we can incorporate that into our advocacy.
One quick question. You mentioned before Chapter 90. We did get a letter, but it did show a bit of a decrease from what we saw last year. Now, was that just perhaps a little bonus that came out last year, and we're seeing back to a standard level? It actually is less than we got.
Yeah, I have it in front of me. What I have is the difference is $610. Does that sound right?
No, it's more. That's the difference from 2 years ago.
From
It
between
went up last year.
2021 and 2020, yeah.
Yeah. It went up quite a bit last year and then has dropped down below 2-year level. Obviously not much, but we're accustomed to it going up because, to be honest, the cost of our materials goes up every year. And we're just actually asking to keep, pace with inflation. You send us money that will pave 10 miles of road, the next year 9 miles, the next year 8 miles, and we're falling behind.
Yeah,
the other question, of course, is MSBA.
Yeah.
Is their funding in good shape? Are they looking to, we have projects in the region that are looking for help. What's their prognosis there?
Yeah, so let me do Chapter 90 first. So, I don't know why there's that decrease. That was in the first, H1 kind of analysis, which I mentioned at this point really is out of date. There was, and I think I mentioned this at the regional meeting last week, but there was a Chapter 90 hearing that I had a conflict with our Ways and Means hearing. So we're going to be revising and issuing new Chapter 90 figures. So my sense is that number will change because I agree that numbers should not go down, and it should at minimum keep pace with the inflation issues. So let's just make a note to follow up on that, and we'll keep an eye on that. On MSBA, this has been a brewing problem, which is that the cost of the school construction has gone up and up and up, and the bond cap has not. And so functionally, the state was approving fewer and fewer school projects as a result, and it's led to a really just untenable wait list and sort of queue list in Western Mass in particular. And we're disproportionately impacted by this because our communities have less capacity than a lot of the Eastern Mass communities to, some of the Eastern Mass towns they don't even participate in the MSBA process at all. They just build the schools completely locally. Mm-hmm. Obviously, that's not something our communities can do. So a couple of things on that. One is the cap was lifted, was raised as part of the Student Opportunity Act significantly. I don't have the exact figures in front of me, but it was a significant cap increase. So you will see more projects as a result of that. And I will push, I can't speak for anyone else, but I will be pushing to use more of the aid money, the very significant aid money we've gotten, to help further raise that cap, because I think, frankly, the schools need it, and we want students and I think COVID has shown the just terrible state of our school ventilation and a lot of our school facilities statewide. I think, frankly, it's a good stimulus. It puts people to work. It's people in hard hats. It's construction jobs. So I do think there will be an opportunity in the short term to use some of that aid money, in particular the K-12 aid money, to try to get the cap raised even more. And with the higher cap, we will have a lot more borrowing space to approve a lot more projects. The final thing I would just say on this is we've got to do more also to get the cost of these projects under control, because, and this is again a bigger challenge, but the bidding just keeps going up and up and up to the point where high schools are now costing tens and tens of millions of dollars. I mean, I remember 10 years ago or so, it was a scandal when there was a high school that was over $100 million, and now that's routine.
Newton South, yeah.
Yeah, Newton South, yeah, exactly. I mean, people remember the mayor got kind of ousted, and so we've got to kind of do more about the cost inflation around the construction, and that's something we've got to work with the treasurer's office and the MSBA on, and we've got to also, frankly, work with local communities on, because I think sometimes.
One quick thing is that the town had stepped up and we had appropriated money for an addition to the highway building. Then the pandemic hit, and as you said, as a result of that, material costs have shot through the roof. Can we get any help for something like that? Mr. Markle has said perhaps some of the stimulus money is appropriate to offset the rise in cost for something. You asked, is there an opportunity for an earmark for Hampden? We don't ask for much, but we have projects in town that do need help.
Yeah.
Public safety building, i.e. the fire station, is something on the Selectmen's agenda with our capital committee. We have a study committee working on the senior center as well. We have a lot of needs in town, and we appreciate the partnership that you can provide for us. And
yeah, I mean, that's my job. Yeah, I mean, my key part of my job is to, really one of the most important parts of my job is to make sure we're bringing resources back from Boston. So, yeah, just get me what the asks are and what the amounts are, and we'll go to bat on it.
John asked my question, but I just have another comment that our ability to consolidate dispatch with Wilbraham was the result of a state incentive program from the 9/11 office. I'd also point out that we have just been notified by Pioneer Valley Planning Commission that they're going to set aside a sum of money from a DLTA grant that they receive to assist Hampden and surrounding towns in hiring a public health nurse, perhaps, as well as a health agent or health assistant to replace Lori McCool when she retires in the summertime. So in both cases, we are moving towards consolidation with the help of state incentives. Frankly, I've always liked the separate pot of money and local aid for towns that can get it together and share services.
I mean, one other quick question. The Holyoke Veterans Home, what's the status of that legislation?
Yeah, thank you for asking about that, Don. I mean, just very, very painful year that's been. So the governor filed a $400 million, basically bonding authorization law. I think you all know what that is, but for just for people who are watching, this is basically a legal authorization for the state to issue bonds to begin the capital project on improvements to the home. So that obviously has my enthusiastic support. I would point out that there are legislators who are saying it's too much money and that it's not necessary. I strongly disagree with that. But I actually just finished writing a letter along with John Vilas, who obviously is the host of the home representing Holyoke, and we're going to be circulating a delegation letter in support of that legislation. And my hope is that we'll be able to do it actually pretty soon. My sense is that the plan is in the Senate to do it in the near term, so we can get on the governor's desk so they can start issuing those bonds to begin the work.
All right, thank you.
I think that's soon. I think that's going to happen. I think the hearing is this week on the legislation, because Senator Vilas and I were preparing the testimony today. So I believe the hearing is later this week. And then I think our expectation or hope is the Senate, at least, I can't speak for both branches, but the Senate is intending to move quickly once the hearing is over.
Thank you. Anything else? Well, once again, thank you, Senator, for your time and stopping in to see us or zooming in to see us. We appreciate all your efforts on behalf, and we'll be in touch. Thank you. You got a great staff there too, by the way.
Oh yeah, no, Joel's on here too. Joel, you want to say hi? But yeah, we just appreciate the partnership, and yeah, don't be shy, and thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Bye.
I'm wondering how we want to do this review of the budget with advisory. Do we want to, I don't know how many are there. Do they want to ask them to come in here so we can keep the Zoom going,
Or are they zooming up there?
I don't know.
They're
I
not
can
zooming
go.
up there, I don't think.
If they are,
Although I
using
talked
Carol's
to Carol
account.
today, and she said, we'd like to have you come up at 6:30.
Right.
Yeah, so-
I can go check if you want. We'll bring the first applicant in. You ready for that?
What time is it?
Pardon me?
I haven't signed it.
Okay.
What time is it?
It's 6:24. We don't get much for these guys. What's time for them?
Right.
All right, what do these guys want?
They'd like to be
Appointed as provisional
Provisionals.
firefighters.
Yeah. probationary, pretty standard.
Okay.
One guy's from town and two are from Wolverhampton.
Cutting into our territory.
Not that they can climb up a ladder better than you and I can. I think it was.
Can't even go up the stairs. Hi, Chief. Hi, have a seat. What do we have here?
This is Peter Sabian.
Should I be Shan?
I tried my hardest.
Is that going to be a problem, Chief?
I think, well,
Should
we
be
call him
Shan.
Peter.
Should be.
Okay, good.
Okay.
He applied to the fire department. I have 3 candidates tonight now. Applied to the department within 10 days. That's why you're seeing 3 of them this evening. He is applying for just a call fire department member. He'd be a probationary member at this time. All 3 of them are going to be probationary members. And at that time, they'll go through a training with us. And they'll be down the road, they'll be eligible for state training as well. No cost.
What do you do for a normal job?
I'm in retail leasing.
Okay.
And so you decide you want to be a firefighter?
Yes, I'm pursuing a firefighter career. I'm currently working on my EMT certification right now as well.
And do they have training as part of this probationary period?
They have our training at the fire station on Monday nights, which we started a couple weeks ago. We'll, as they progress through that training and make the appropriate amount of calls, they'll be eligible to go to the Mass Call Fire Academy.
They have to respond to a number of calls.
Yes, it's going to be a requirement that they show their dedication a little bit to the department before we just send them out. We don't want to, just have people filter through our department. And we want to make sure that if we send someone to the academy, that they're worthy of the time that the state invests in them as well.
Okay. When did you take the civil service exam?
The civil service test actually got pushed back
Oh,
due to COVID. It was originally supposed to be last March, but we actually just got our scores back.
okay. And?
I did pretty well. I scored a 96.
Oh,
Oh,
that's
good.
pretty well. I guess so.
That's pretty well, okay. All right.
So, Peter is a resident of Wilbraham, but he's just over the line a little ways, so
How far over the line?
not that far. So the requirement is 3 miles to the town
Oh,
line. So
okay. Oh, is it?
using that requirement.
And then when he goes to the Mass Fire Academy, which I assume he will do, is there a cost to that? And do we fund that?
There's no cost set. The only expense to the town is if they wear out the gear, and usually we have gear that, as other firefighters wear it down, we take it out of service and give it to them to go to the academy because they're pretty much going to destroy it there. Or there's an option to there's another option to rent from a company. You can rent the gear. So
Pretty minimal expense, you're saying.
yeah, for what you're getting, yes, what they're getting, what we're getting.
Right.
Okay.
Correct.
All right, motion? Any other questions?
Well,
Oh,
Motion?
no.
I hate to say it, I move to appoint Peter as a probationary firefighter, subject to the requirements as outlined by Chief Poulin.
Second.
All in favor?
And I
Aye.
apologize.
All right,
Should begin.
Shed, yeah, we'll work on it.
No,
No,
no, please, I want to get it right.
Shadbegian.
Shabizian, okay.
Shabizian.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you very much.
Okay,
Thank you.
We want to send them next. We want them to tell come in next.
Brian, I already talked to him. He
Okay.
knows, they know through the team, hopefully.
John, want to make sure you read. This is who, Brian Benoit?
Yes.
Hi, Brian.
I have not.
Okay, Bayberry Hampden.
So Brian was our second candidate that applied. He lives in town. He's working Monday through Friday. He's interested in joining the department to, same as everyone else you're gonna see tonight. Little career change possibly and some experience.
Brian, good kid.
What's that?
I know your family, good
Yeah.
kid, yeah.
Brian Benoit, we can pronounce his last name. So.
Stop
Yeah,
it.
right.
Stop it. Brian, what do you do now?
I'm a caseworker, social work type
Mhm.
stuff.
Okay.
Mhm.
Work close by. I mean, if there was a call, you're talking typically calling at night for this type of thing, right?
Yes, he works Monday through Friday.
Okay. So, and same situation, the academy using.
Yep,
Little
as
bit.
long as he meets all our requirements,
Mhm.
we do have binders drafted for all these probationary firefighters that they have to make off a checkoff list,
Mhm.
just in case they're not interested in the academy and we still want to keep them as a full-time call firefighter. They have to meet our requirements as well, and it kind of mocks the state
Right.
training guidelines. So they'll have to don and doff their SCBA a certain amount of times, on their full turnout gear a certain amount of times with someone watching them and marking, checking it off and signing the paper that they did see him do it.
Kind of off the thing, but what does this do for your staffing requirements? I mean, you're happy to get 3 people in, you're always looking for more.
We're always looking for more. If there's anybody out there in the town that wants to join. Like I said, when I joined, there was a waiting list for people. It was always up to 40. We're at the area around 23, 22. So there's always room. But things change. I understand that. But yeah, there's always room.
Good.
All right.
So the provisional firefighters then become regular on-call firefighters? Is that how does the progression work?
So they're I know it says provisional on your
Yeah.
email, but they're probationary firefighters. So if they meet all our requirements and go through the training and hustle up, like I said, they have binders that they have to meet those requirements, minimum requirements for us. If they can do all that, we can push them up to a call firefighter, actual member of the fire department. If they want to go to the academy, they complete that. That's just a quicker way to get to that call membership.
As probationary, though, they would go on a call, right?
They do go on a call. They're not allowed to go in any structure fires like that. They may get, if we have several full-time, or not full-time, but if we have several call guys show up that have been on the department for a while and are experienced, we may have them on the apparatus. We may pull these guys off the apparatus, put more room in for an actual structure fire that we have coming on. But we will get them there and walk them through the scene afterwards and show them, what caused this, where what's going to go next, and how we extinguished it and stuff of that nature.
All right.
And you like to see your number in this category? How high do you like? Is it better when it's up to 40 because
the more we have, the more we can be. So when COVID hit, I don't know if you read our town report or not. I broke up the firefighters into groups of 4 or 5, and that limited the exposure to us at the station for us going on calls, people going into dwellings and whatnot. So the more we get, the more I could break up into groups. It helps with training. We can use those same groups as to train on Monday nights as well, instead of having count off. Sometimes a group A, group B, do this, do that. We can even have 2 separate trainings going on.
and then who does the training in house? Is it one of your other firemen, or you, or you
we
call somebody in, or?
Yeah,
All of the
all the
above.
above. We do a lot of it ourselves because it's our own equipment, so we train on our own equipment. But we do have, because of COVID, we did have a few instructors coming out from the academy to teach last year, but it got canceled. But we do have people come in. Some of the utilities will send people in, and whatever we can, decide that we need to move
Yeah.
forward, like we haven't had in a while, we'll bring up, or someone has a topic, we'll bring up.
Okay.
Ready to do this, Brian?
Ready,
Okay.
We haven't put you off, right? You're still committed?
still committed.
I'll make a motion. I'll make a
Being
motion to
committed.
appoint Brian Benoit as a probationary firefighter subject to the chief's supervision.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brian.
If you don't see what you're looking for.
Mhm.
And this is Jonathan Cadeau.
Including down here, I'm putting all the water containers.
Jonathan.
Oh, yeah. And, so I talked to Steve today also. So we talked about that.
Hi, Jonathan.
Hey, John.
Hi, John.
So Jonathan was the last one to apply, and you'll notice his application is slightly different. We had a few problems getting, before, if someone wanted to join, they had to go onto the town website, find the fire department, find the application, download it, fill it out, then mail it or drop it off. And we had a few problems of it getting to us quick enough and efficiently. So now we have an application that's online. People can fill it out right there online and hit submit, and they'll get a reply email that was received, and it automatically goes to myself and the deputy chief.
Wow, like the 21st century. This is incredible.
So that's why this
Clever,
application.
clever those Americans.
No kidding.
So that's,
You're making us look bad, Ed. Jeez, come on.
well, it's frustrating when you're trying to get people in to help us do our jobs, and there's people out there.
Mhm.
It's aggravating for us.
No, I'm joking with you. I commend you for doing this. This really is, like you say, you want to fast track it to get them in. And
Yeah, I think even he was impressed by the response he got right away.
It was very quick. It was very quick.
Oh, there we go.
How do you recruit people? Do you advertise for them, or do you?
I'm actually going to be working with Craig Rivas right now to do a small portfolio type
Oh,
advertising.
the pictures. I remember the pictures you had.
Yeah,
for
so
that
we're
before.
gonna start pushing it a little bit more,
Mhm.
so that we have the room to do it. So.
Good.
What are you doing in real life, Jonathan?
So right now I am currently a warehouse lead. So I oversee a bunch of people,
Mhm.
make sure the task at hand gets done. And I'm also currently going to school for a fire investigator.
Okay, first shift.
Yes.
Okay. So,
Where are you going to school?
Stick.
And Jonathan is a Wilbraham resident within the mileage.
I don't think I can get down the street, so,
Okay.
on a motion?
Yep.
I move to appoint Jonathan to the role of probationary firefighter, subject to the chief's supervision.
Second.
All in favor?
John,
All
I.
right.
See, when you come in third, you don't get as many.
Yeah, you don't
questions.
get-
'Cause we've heard all the questions and all the answers, and we're just glad to see you.
Thank you.
We just want to move along to the next thing by then.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jonathan.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you, Chief.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you. So we're gonna go upstairs
We're gonna go
now,
upstairs.
and we're just gonna
Yeah,
leave
yeah.
this on,
I will stop the recording.
right?
Tell them what we're doing.
We're going upstairs to the advisory committee meeting to do the selectmen's budget,
To return.
After which we will
to
return.
which we'll return and finish the meeting.
For one day, what?
A
TS?
huge advantage
A
for us
huge
because we
advantage.
have one central repository for the latest information.
Right.
Although it is funny tonight, the budget for our didn't have your current number.
Right.
So I think the key thing is that we make better use of that. So we make better use of the OneDrive for, instead of emailing us out the minutes in the agenda, please refer to the OneDrive and look at the copy of
Exactly.
minutes to thing.
I like that idea.
We did find an issue tonight, just late this afternoon with Pam's access to the OneDrive. I don't know if you did, she was going to call Entree,
Yeah, I didn't have.
but part of the reason why the agenda for the last couple of weeks didn't match what I
Right.
sent out.
Exactly.
She was saving the agenda, her update of the agenda, and it wasn't saving on the OneDrive.
But it was saving on
But
my
again,
OneDrive.
Just
Yeah.
saying.
Anyhow, in
So
terms
what
of
we
like
would
the other
have to
thing
know
there,
is
it's
when
a
we put
tremendous.
something on the OneDrive, we should put out an email to everybody saying, I put something on the OneDrive. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I think when she sends out when the agenda is sent out to us, it's basically links to, and Donna's made this point before that, look, I want an agenda, but I want background information. Where's the packet? Where's
You want
the,
everything together.
so if the link is there, okay, I have an application, here's the grant, refer to under grants, there's the thing. I have no problem with that. I don't need to print out 27 sheets of paper
Exactly.
for everyone.
Exactly.
So that, to me, that's where, in reference to your point, that's where the guidelines are. Let's keep a central repository that we can share when it's relevant for advisory to look at our budget. They're looking at the same things we are too.
Okay, so
Not
you,
like, oh, mine's dated the 14th. Oh, mine's dated the 12th. Oh, gosh, here we are.
but the guidelines things you put on the email, on OneDrive, right? It's there now, if I go look
Keep
at it.
focusing on keeping a consistent set of documents on the OneDrive.
Okay, but I guess my question is, did you do this questionnaire thing, or you didn't do this questionnaire thing?
No, I did my suggestions.
You
that
just
way.
did your
Yeah.
suggestion, okay, so you continue to use the E-Drive, okay. So this goal, very quickly, was a little deeper than just the email, so I will, so we don't have to discuss it tonight because we have other things to do, but I will collate all of these together
Mhm.
perhaps, and then we can decide if, because my focus was, or the importance of for me was,
Mhm.
to say, let's look at everything that we do, what do we do well, what can we improve, blah, 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 and have a dialogue about that whole thing, okay? So we can either, there's several ways we can do that. The group can decide they don't think it's as important as I do, or we can say, let's do it as a special meeting before our meeting, as a work session, or we can say, let's do it during our meeting, or we can say, let's go on a retreat. Any of those are okay. I'm not a particular retreat fan, but I'll go to Hawaii or someplace if you'd like for a retreat. I think a meeting before our meeting would be fine to me, but whatever everybody else thinks.
I have to say, it's funny. So, I'm on the Elms board. Our retreat is at the old Mass Mutual,
There you go.
thing on Memorial Drive.
Yeah.
And my brother on the Wilbraham Munson Academy, they go to Arizona.
There you
They
go.
to
That's exactly right. That's exactly.
I was like, what? He said, well, we're on a Catholic nun budget.
Yeah,
So
right.
that's where we're.
Exactly. So what's your pleasure?
I think
Anybody?
maybe a special 15 minutes beforehand. Just
Half
Okay.
hour before, yeah.
Beforehand.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so we'll meet, that'd be like 5:30 though. Is
Yeah,
that too early for
5:30.
people? You can get out of work.
On a Monday is good. It's always.
Monday's good, I'm off
Monday's
on
good.
Monday.
Okay, so we'll put that on the agenda.
Okay.
Next meeting starts at 5:30?
Are you bringing the extra shots next meeting or no?
March 22.
We are recording.
Okay,
John, are you bringing
We are
a Johnson
recording.
for all of us? No?
okay, we did the probationary fire, I want to put off the evaluate Zoom versus cable, right?
Yeah,
Okay, and the Collins, they're coming next week, right? Correspondence, we'll skip that one, but I do have this correspondence from Long Meadow.
And Bob's report.
Yeah, right, from Long Meadow. And they've called on basically what their letter is, they've called on the Hampden County Retirement Board to resign and for PERAC to step in and take over the board until new people are appointed, and they're asking for other select boards to support
Can
their
you tell
letter.
people what PERAC is?
PERAC is the Public Employee Retirement Administration Commission,
Mhm.
and they're the people who oversee all the retirement boards.
Mhm.
And they're asking them to step in and take over the Hampden County Regional Retirement Board until this.
Almost like
audit
putting them in
message
receivership,
stated.
if you
But yeah, it's
will.
like putting them in receivership,
Yeah,
exactly,
right,
exactly.
right.
And they're asking for support from other select boards, and I would suggest that we support them.
And I would also.
I agree
So
with that.
we can just write a letter saying,
Yeah, well,
referencing this letter, or you can
I'll
just
do a
write,
reference
right?
letter,
That's what
okay,
I'm saying.
so we'll take a vote on that motion. or-
Motion to
Support Long
support
Meadow
the,
School. Second.
the letter from Long Meadow.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Town Administrator's Report.
Okay, I don't have the exit interview with firefighter Sterling, but it's going to be scheduled according to the chief prior to his departure on March 31st. We just talked about the Long Meadow letter, preparing reimbursements for the CARES Act. It takes a lot of time. John and I met with Larry Tuttle this morning, our architect designer for the highway garage project, to talk about options. It seems as though one of the options is going to have to be seeking additional funding. Largely because of cost increases for materials,
Mhm.
particularly steel. Entree Computer has been requested to prepare a technology budget, and that's been almost 2 weeks ago. I don't have it yet. I bought equipment, as you know, for the summer.
Have we ever evaluated the services that they give us and we think that they're terrific and we should be continuing with them, or that we should be looking at somebody else? Or,
Well,
I mean, I don't know the history of this, or of our relationship with this group.
I can give you an evaluation of that. I will do that. I did meet with the Veterans Affairs Regional Group on March 11th. And we are submitting the application under the Small Bridge Program for the East Main Street Bridge. Applications have to be in by Thursday, and they will go in by Thursday. Michelle Morehouse has resigned as administrative assistant at the police department. Action Ambulance did provide the response, which you have. A member of the town staff has contracted COVID-19. We have one estimate for Academy Hall, which I just mentioned earlier tonight, $23,500. First meeting of the PVPC regarding the health inspector and the public health nurse took place on March 15th, another one next week. And Becky Moriarty has submitted for a reimbursement request of $26.46 for the paper goods used for the brown bag luncheons under this CDBG grant that we received with the town of Palmer and 5 other communities. And that's the report, sir.
And let me just ask you one other quick question. Has the electrical been done for the ventilation at the fire station?
No.
So I have
are we moving on
a,
that?
I have a comment on that. I spoke
Okay.
to Chief Poulin about that. Not to get into the weeds, but when you looked into it, the fire station has 100 amp service. And, and you might chuckle saying, my gosh, for a building like that, you'd be looking at 200 typically. So really, it's a little more of an upgrade than he's willing to do on, especially, Ed's used to have his own business and now he doesn't have it. So he is going to be coming back saying, I need a quote for a couple things done. We need to run a new service with it, like you were upgrading a house. I did suggest that he work with Bob on coming up with some numbers. I think if you talk to Cliff, it would be appropriate to either get it out of fire department expenses. I think you and I talked, there's going to be some overages and a couple of accounts. So come back, but it's important to do it right.
Right. Oh,
You're not
absolutely.
running an extension cord from
Absolutely.
one part to
Absolutely.
another.
Yeah.
So that's like working on your house. You take a wall down, you would discover, oh my gosh.
He did say the same thing to me, only he just said it's not as easy as people think it is.
None of it's as easy as people think it is, I'm sure.
All right.
But we do want to get it done in a timely fashion so that we have.
It can be. So I
Take
think if
that
he gets
off our-
that,
take that
if he
off
gets
our
that
list.
information to Bob can proceed on, I'm sure.
So the last thing on our agenda is I would entertain a motion to conduct a strategy session in preparation for negotiating with the non-union personnel, that's contract negotiation with incoming chief of police, which we will not return to open session.
So moved.
Are we actually gonna be meeting with the chief?
He's
He's right
here.
here.
I know. So would that be an executive session?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah, because
Yeah,
it's
you're
negotiation. And then he's leaving. He's going to tell us what he wants and then he's leaving.
Right on.
I've asked him to come in with a list of items that he would like the board to consider in his contract. And then that he would leave, and I think the board can then discuss those terms. You can bring him back next week to finish it up, or you can just tell me what terms you're agreeable to, and I'll see if I can put together the first draft of the contract.
Okay, I'll make a motion to go into executive session for the purpose of conducting strategy session in preparation for contract negotiation where public discussion of the contract would
Well-
impact the town's position.
Would it be the, okay,
All right,
the contractor and then, okay,
Right,
no,
yeah.
you're right.
Second.
without a return to open session.
Now we turn to open session. Right? Roll call vote, Mary Ellen,
Aye.
John,
John, I.
Donald, I.